The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly projections in my office. "Amanda, we need to talk about the engagement party," my sister Kristen said. "No hello. No small talk. Straight to business." "Okay," I replied, setting down my pen. "What about it? You can't come." I stared at my screen, certain I'd misheard her. "I'm sorry, what?" "The engagement party this Saturday. You can't attend. Brandon and I talked about it and we think it's better if you sit this one out." "Why?" I kept my voice calm even as my stomach tightened. Kristen let out that slow, dramatic sigh she used when she believed she was being patient. "You're kind of embarrassing. Brandon's parents are very successful. His dad is a senior VP at a tech company. His mom runs corporate operations. They have standards. And you're not exactly polished." I glanced down at my jeans and Georgetown hoodie, my usual work-from-home outfit on a no-meeting day. "It's not just the clothes," she continued. "It's everything. You work from home doing freelance tech stuff. You drive a 15-year-old Honda. You live in that tiny apartment. Brandon's family is going to wonder why my sister is so unsuccessful." "I see. I knew you'd understand," she said, relief flooding her voice. "Mom and Dad agree it's better if you don't come. They don't want you to feel uncomfortable around Brandon's family." "How considerate." "Exactly. We'll do a separate dinner after the wedding. Something casual. Somewhere you'll fit in better." She hung up before I could answer. I sat in my home office, the converted second bedroom of my tiny apartment, which just happened to be the 1,800 square foot penthouse I owned in a building I had purchased 3 years ago, and considered my options. My phone buzzed. "From Mom. Kristen told us. We think it's for the best. You understand, don't you, sweetheart?" "From Dad, sorry kiddo. Sometimes we make sacrifices for family. Kristen's happiness matters." I turned back to my computer and opened the company directory. Foster Technology Solutions. 2,400 employees. 8 offices. Annual revenue, $340 million. Then I scrolled to the executive listings. Robert Chin, Senior VP Product Development. Linda Chin, VP Operations. Brandon Chen's parents. They worked for my company. I opened their personnel files. Both excellent performers. Both up for major promotions next quarter. Robert was being considered for Executive VP. Linda was on track for Senior VP. I drafted an email to my SU. "Please schedule a meeting with me and the Chens for Friday at 2 p.m. Topic: Quarterly Product Pipeline Presentation. I want to review it personally before the weekend." Her reply came within minutes. "Scheduled. They'll be thrilled. They've been hoping to present directly to you." I smiled. They had no idea who I was. Saturday evening, I parked my old Honda across from the country club where Kristen's engagement party was being held. I wasn't going inside. I'd been uninvited after all. I was curious. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I watched as my family mingled with Brandon's relatives. The ballroom glowed in white and gold, elegant and expensive. Kristen looked radiant in an emerald cocktail dress, clinging to Brandon's arm as she introduced him to family friends. My parents floated from group to group, clearly trying to impress Brandon's family with stories about their successful daughters. They just didn't mention which one actually signed the paychecks. Well, daughter singular, I suppose. I watched my mother laugh at something Brandon's aunt said, lightly touching her arm the way she always did when she wanted to charm someone. My father stood in serious conversation with Brandon's father, tall, polished, perfectly at ease in an expensive suit. They looked like two men bonding over business and success. Brandon's parents arrived around 7:30, slightly late and a little rushed, but still impeccably professional. Robert Chin wore a sharp suit with his tie loosened just enough to suggest he'd come straight from work. Linda Chin stepped in beside him in a navy dress, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder, the same one I'd seen her carry into countless meetings at headquarters. I couldn't hear through the glass, but I didn't need to. I knew exactly what they were saying. I'd read their emails all week about how thrilled they were to finally present to me in person. Linda apologized first, gesturing as she spoke. "So sorry we're late. We had to finish the quarterly presentation for our CEO, Amanda Foster. She wants to review our product pipeline personally before her Monday meeting. It's a huge opportunity for us. We've been trying to get FaceTime with her for years." Robert added something, I caught biggest career opportunity, and so excited. From across the street I watched my sister's face change in real time. Confusion. Recognition. Realization. Her. She grabbed Brandon's arm and pulled him aside, speaking quickly, gesturing toward his parents. Brandon looked puzzled at first, then stunned. He pulled out his phone. Mine rang seconds later. Brandonchan. I answered. Hello. Is this Amanda Foster? His voice was tight. It is. The Amanda Foster who owns Foster Technology Solutions? Yes. A long silence. You're Kristen's sister. That's correct. Another pause. She uninvited you from our engagement party because she said you were embarrassing. Because you work from home doing freelance tech stuff. That's what she told me. Silence again. You're the CEO of a $340 million company. You founded it at 23. You've been featured in Forbes, Fortune, and TechCrunch. My parents work for you. All accurate. And you were just going to let her think you were some unsuccessful freelancer? I tried telling her about my company for years, I said calmly. Every Sunday dinner for 8 years. He never listened. She was usually too busy talking about her marketing manager job and how well she was doing. He exhaled sharply. She has no idea, does she? No. And neither do my parents. They decided I was a failure and stopped asking questions. Eventually I stopped correcting them. My parents are about to tell everyone they work for you, he said. They've been talking all week about finally meeting the CEO. I know, I replied. I read their emails. Should I warn Kristen? That's up to you. But it looks like your mother is already mentioning it. Through the window I saw Linda animatedly speaking to my mother. She said my name, Amanda Foster, and gestured with obvious pride. My mother's smile froze. Confusion flickered across her face. My phone lit up. I declined it. Declined. A text from Kristen. Call me right now. I replied, I was uninvited to your party. I'm respecting your wishes by not attending. Enjoy your evening. The phone rang again. This time I answered. Amanda, what the hell? Kristen's voice was shrill. Brandon's mother just said she works for Amanda Foster at Foster Technology Solutions. She said you're her boss. He's lying, right? This is some weird joke. She's not lying. That's impossible. You work from home doing freelance web design or coding or whatever. I work from home because I own the company and can work wherever I want, I said evenly. And yes, I did freelance tech consulting for Fortune 500 companies. That's how I built my client base before founding Foster Technology Solutions. You can't just start a company like that. I started with $200,000 I saved from freelance work and secured a $300,000 business loan. I was 23. You never told me. I did. You were busy planning your wedding to your first husband at the time. The mention of her first marriage, 14 months and a quiet divorce, landed heavily. That company is worth hundreds of millions, she said weakly. Annual revenue is $340 million, I corrected. The company valuation is approximately $2.1 billion. I own 73%. I paused. Do the math. Silence filled the line. Why apartment? I continued calmly. It's a penthouse. 1,800 square feet. Harbor view. I own the entire building. Another pause. And the Honda. It's paid off and reliable. I don't need a luxury car to prove anything. I prefer investing in my company. Company, Kristen repeated faintly. Yes. The company where Brandon's parents are employees. Robert and Linda Chin. Both excellent performers. Both were up for major promotions. Robert was being considered for executive VP. Linda for senior VP. She clung to the word. You're considering them? I was, I said carefully. Before tonight. What does that mean? It means I'm reconsidering whether people who raised a son with such shallow judgment belong in senior leadership. That's not fair. Brandon didn't do anything. Brandon supported your decision to exclude me because you believed I was unsuccessful. That reflects poor judgment. I don't promote leaders who evaluate people based on appearances. You can't punish them because of me. I can make whatever executive decisions I believe protect my company, Kristen. I own it. A new voice cut in, steady but strained. She had put me on speaker. Miss Foster, please, Brandon said. My parents have worked at your company for 6 years. They've done nothing wrong. This is my fault. It's both your faults, I corrected. But I appreciate you attempting accountability. That's more than your fiancé has offered. What do you want? Kristen demanded, panic creeping into her voice. An actual apology. Fine. I'm sorry I didn't know you were rich. I'm sorry I didn't take your job seriously. You're sorry you got exposed, I replied evenly. That's not the same thing. Then my mother's voice joined the call. Amanda, sweetheart, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. There hasn't been any misunderstanding, Mom. Kristen told me I was too embarrassing to attend her engagement party. You and Dad agreed. Those were deliberate choices based on what you assumed about my life. The only misunderstanding is that you thought you were right. We didn't know, she protested weakly. Biz, you never asked. 8 years of Sunday dinners where I tried to tell you about my company. Every time you talked over me. You were too busy praising Kristen's entry-level marketing job to notice I'd built a tech empire. I ended the call. Then I sent a message to my COO. Please prepare revised promotion recommendations excluding the Chens. Move Sarah Martinez and Tom Williams into those roles instead. They've earned it. Her reply came quickly. Understood. Any explanation for the change? Personal conflict of interest. I'll explain Monday. From my car I could see the chaos inside the country club. Kristen was crying. My mother looked stricken. My father was speaking urgently to Robert Chin, who appeared confused and concerned. Brandon stood apart, scrolling through his phone, no doubt reading everything he could find about me. My phone rang again. Please, Brandon said. I know we made a terrible mistake. But my parents don't deserve to lose their promotions. They've worked incredibly hard. They have, I agreed. Which is why they're keeping their current positions. They simply won't be promoted. Sarah Martinez and Tom Williams have worked just as hard, and they didn't raise children who judge people by square footage and car brands. That's not fair, Kristen sobbed. Fair. I let out a short laugh. Was it fair to exclude me from your engagement party? Was it fair to label me an embarrassment? Was it fair to dismiss my entire life without once asking about it? No one answered. I looked back at the glowing ballroom one last time. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going home, I said evenly. You're going to finish your engagement party and think carefully about how you judge people based on appearances. Monday morning, I'm meeting with the Chens about their quarterly presentation. They'll keep their jobs. But the promotions are off the table. For how long? Robert Chen's voice came through, quiet, strained. Until I'm convinced they've raised a son who values character over status. That could be 6 months. Could be 6 years. Could be never. That depends on Brandon. How is he supposed to prove that? Linda asked. That's his responsibility to figure out, I replied. Not mine. I ended the call and drove home. Monday morning, the Chens delivered an exceptional presentation. Their product pipeline was strong, their data flawless, their strategy thoughtful. I approved the plan without hesitation. As they gathered their things to leave, Robert cleared his throat. Miss Foster, about the promotions? Your work performance is outstanding, I said. That hasn't changed. But leadership isn't just about metrics. It's about judgment. When your son demonstrates that he understands the value of integrity over appearances, we'll revisit the discussion. How long will that take? Linda asked quietly. As long as it takes. I paused. In the meantime, you're both receiving 5% raises. You've earned that. They looked surprised. The promotion isn't about performance, I continued. It's about leadership character. I need senior executives who model integrity at home as well as at work. They nodded slowly. They understood. After they left, my CEO stepped in. That was generous, the raises. They're strong employees, I said. They just raised a son who needs to reassess his values. That's not entirely their fault, but it reflects something. Fair enough, she replied. Also, your sister has called 6 times this morning. I'm not available. What should I tell her? Nothing. She's not a client. That evening, my doorman called upstairs. Mr. Chin is here to see you, Miss Foster. Send him away. He says it's important. About his engagement. I sighed. Fine. Send him up. Brandon looked exhausted when I opened the door. You have 5 minutes, I said. I ended things with Kristen. I blinked. Why? Because you were right. She judged you based on appearances. She dismissed you without knowing anything about your life. And I went along with it because... He hesitated. Because I cared more about what my parents would think than what was right. That's unusually self-aware. I've spent the last 2 days thinking. My parents raised me to respect hard work and integrity. Then I met someone working from home in jeans driving an old car, and I assumed she was unsuccessful. That's not who I'm supposed to be. So you're here to apologize and negotiate your parents' promotions? Not for me, he said quickly. I know I messed up. But they truly deserve those roles. I studied him for a moment. 6 months, I said finally. Your parents keep their current positions and their raises. If their performance remains strong, we'll revisit promotions in 6 months. Relief flooded his face. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank your parents for being competent professionals, even if their son needs to work on his judgment. He winced but nodded. And I am sorry. Apology noted. He left. Later that week I called my parents. I'm hosting dinner this Sunday, I said. You're invited. So is Kristen if she wants to come. I'll order from your favorite Italian place. There was a pause. Amanda, we're so sorry, my mother said softly. Sunday at 6, I repeated. Come or don't. Your choice. They came. All 3 of them. Kristen cried. She apologized, this time without excuses. My parents asked questions. Real ones. About my company. About my growth. About the risks I took. They listened when I answered. Why didn't you tell us? My father asked quietly. I did, I said. You just didn't listen. We're listening now, my mother replied. Good, I said. Better late than never. It wasn't a perfect repair. 8 years of dismissal doesn't vanish over one dinner. But it was a beginning. And the following Sunday when I spoke about expanding into 2 new markets, they didn't interrupt. They didn't change the subject. They listened. That, in the end, was worth more than any promotion I could have given.